Step into the Incense and Whiskey sanctuary with mindfulness enthusiasts and verified whiskey lovers, Mecca and Ashley, as they discuss all the random topics they love, from mindfulness to memes. This is Ashley.
And this is Mecca.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Incense and Whiskey. We have a new friend that we are bringing into the sanctuary. Our friend Kiesha Yokers is a breathwork teacher, low toxin educator, and clean beauty advocate who strives to provide relatable content to those who wish to lower their toxic load and live a healthy, joy-filled life. She provides coaching, educational content, product guides, and other resourceful wellness and lifestyle content to inform and empower her readers. Keisha's passion is to help women navigate the world of holistic and low-tox living without all the confusion that can commonly come along with the journey, and to represent Black, Indigenous, people of color, women in a traditionally homogenous community. Welcome, Keisha.
Oh, thank you. That was really nice. That was a lot. That was great.
You did good. I was like, that's a lot. Do I know?
You do a lot of work. I'm with it. Like, tell us, how did you get into this space? Like, how did we get here where you are today?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. I mean, it's just, life is weird. So, I had a career in education. I was a public school teacher for a really long time. And then I was struggling to get pregnant and dealing with all sorts of infertility issues and miscarriage and just a lot of loss. And my doctor had said to me at the time, well, we're going to diagnose you as this is unexplained, unknown infertility, and likely due to, could be environmental toxins, could be just the luck of the draw. And that felt like, even now it's still hard to articulate. That just felt so hard to hear. Like, You're just one of the unlucky ones. Sorry, there's no real answer for you. Yeah. And you want answers because you grow up thinking, okay, well, one day I'll have a baby and, it'll be easy and it'll just happen for me because it happens for everyone. Well, that's actually not true. It is not as easy as we think. And, I just couldn't accept that, well, just because. So that was probably the first start for me of like, what do you mean environmental factors? What does that actually mean? Is it like the actual environment, the air I breathe? And so, that kind of led me into a deep dive of like, what am I putting in my body? Is there anything that I can control in this? So that was probably the start of it.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit. I did have children, and then I was a stay-at-home mom, kind of aching to get back to work, but also realizing, I'm a military spouse. We move a lot. I have one biological and one adopted child, and just trying to figure out like what was best for our family. And going back to work immediately wasn't that. So I took the opportunity to start learning about what I was passionate about, which is holistic health. And I went back to school for that. And here we are today. It was kind of I'm staying home with my kids and I'm trying to figure out what my next thing is. And I knew that, what I didn't mention is that toxic load came to me in my studies, in the schooling I was doing. I was learning about toxic load, and something came across my desk where it was about Black women and their Black women having a higher toxic load, and and products marketed to Black women and children are more toxic and carcinogenic. And that, frankly, that pissed me off. That got me really riled up. At the time, we were living in Washington, D.C., and I was like, okay, well, watch me call every senator and tell them what I think of everything.
Watch me.
I called every single senator. I haven't even lived I've never even lived in Nebraska, but I'm calling their senators going, let me tell you what I have to say. And while my kids were napping. And so I just was like, I found that there was an advocate in me. There's some advocacy that I didn't know lived in me. And I just was like, I got to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate the journey from educator to informed on this topic to advocate for sure. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It also leads me to ask, as you were going on that journey, maybe there's some people out there listening who are kind of like, what does this mean? Toxic load. Um, what, well, obviously, why should I care, right? Kind of have some inkling of that, but where do you recommend people that you work with start when they think about reducing their toxic load and defining that and saying, what does that really look like?
Sure. Well, so one thing that I try to do when I'm talking to people and working with them is, let them know, number one, I'm not a scientist. I don't have a degree in toxicology, nor do I ever have a desire to.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very basic. It came out of, like most things do, it comes out of a need. Like change will typically come out of a need or something within yourself that you're like, this isn't working for me. I've got to figure something out. And so what I want to do is empower like every single woman to know you don't have to know everything. You don't have to have all the language. You don't need to know all the chemical constituencies of any sort of anything. Like it's as basic as you have this body, and I believe that the body is so miraculous and it works so hard to heal itself. And we can help our body just like a car, right? Like just like what you put in your car matters. And so like your beautiful body, like what you put in it and what you put on it deeply matters, and it impacts your health. And so we know that, like most people get that with food. They get that, if I eat a lot of sugar, I gain weight, I'm hangry, I'm moody, I don't sleep well. If I drink a lot of alcohol, it's the same thing here, that what I put on my skin actually has an impact to my health. And that can range from, things that are, and we have to be careful because there's so much, there can be a lot of fear mongering in this too. And so I try to be very clear that I'm not talking about causation. Again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, but we know that certain chemicals are linked to certain problems. And ranging from cancer, asthma, contact dermatitis, infertility, low sperm count, low motility, so, and that infertility thing affects men as well as women. And so I just like to say, okay, you think about your body and you, or think about your children when they're born. I think that's the easiest way to understand, or a baby's born, their body is just like, it's perfect. There's no toxins in it. There's no crap in it. And, when you're a new parent, you just want to protect that body and you want to give it all good things. So you're buying organic, you're eating hamburgers from, Lord knows where. You're buying organic produce for your baby and you're pureeing it
yourself.
Right. And so it's like that in that same concept of, I want to fill this baby with as many good things to give it as best chance as possible for his or her brain to grow and develop and for their organs, to function. That's the same with us. So we have a toxic load period based on the environment, based on what's in our home, based on what we put on our body, based on what we eat. And we have the ability to lower that toxic load because basically you think about like, as we're adding to, we add toxins, it taxes our body. It doesn't run as efficiently. And just like we want to put good oil and the right kind of gas in our car, it's the same for us. So while I cannot eliminate all toxins in this world, there's just I cannot live a non-toxic life, but I can lower my toxins so that I can live a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
So,
I have a question. When you first got into this, in regards to just like, okay, let me be very aware of my own like life and what I can control. What were like the first three things that you were easily able to adjust in your life to live a life?
That's a good question. I think it started, the first thing was Jackson, my son. It was everything I brought in my house for him. Like, every product for my kid. I was like, okay, I want to, no phthalates, no parabens, everything I was reading. And I didn't, like Johnson & Johnson is a whole nother conversation about the baby powder. And like, I just I was not going to do that. Like I really wanted to bring in very simple products, for my kiddo. So that was the first one was addressing my son. The second one was my hair. And I wish that were easy. That wasn't an easy one. For me, I had been relaxing my hair since I was 8 years old, 4 times a year from 8 to 35. And not realizing that, the formaldehyde, is carcinogenic. And I think it was, I had given birth in December and February. I was like, finally, I can go relax my hair, because I didn't when I was pregnant. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, which again, women of the world, when someone, whether it's a doctor or the product, says not to use during pregnancy, newsflash, don't use it ever.
I have heard that you should treat yourself, whether you're a mother or not, or pregnant or not. You should just always treat yourself as though you are pregnant.
Correct.
There's like this certain standard of level of product and treatment. I have heard that a lot. So we're not saying you have to get pregnant or be a mom. That's your personal choice. But treating yourself that way. Right. To your point. If they advise you not to use it when you're pregnant, then maybe you shouldn't be using it generally. Right.
Right. There's something in that. There's something to think about. Like, if it's not good for a baby or an undeveloped, fetus, but why would it be good for me? And so, so basically it occurred to me that if the relaxer was not good for me then, why is it good for me now? And also, maybe it's time that I start the work, which I knew was coming, of standards of beauty and Blackness. And why was it that I was clinging to, like, if you want to straighten your hair, fine. I'm always telling clients that. But for me, I knew why I was relaxing my hair. I knew it all of my life. And it was time for me to start addressing some deep wounds about who I was and what the standard of beauty that I was trying to live by. And so the big chop happened, and of course it was emotional and all that, so that wasn't easy, but like, getting rid of the relaxer, it was creamy crack. It took me a while to get, emotionally to get off of it. Right. And so, but that was a huge moment for me where I was like, I'm done. And this was the thing that I remember swearing to a friend, I will never get off this creamy crack. But I just knew, like, why am I trying to be healthy in one area of my life and not all of them? So that was the second, was like, bringing in good hair products for natural hair and like non-toxic products. And that's a whole nother conversation about the Black hair care market and non-toxic products, which is emerging, and I'm really excited about it. And then the third thing was, I think my personal care products, all of my skincare, like, I stopped using tampons. I use the Diva Cup. I just everything that I was putting on my skin, I was like, it's time to pivot. That sounds like boom, boom, boom. That was over 3, 4, 5 years. It was like, okay, I can take on my makeup, and then I can take on, I had a slow and steady approach. One, because I wanted to stay married. I didn't want to, like,
that's real.
You bring it to your partner and they're like, oh, so now that's toxic too, and now you want to spend this kind of money. So I did.
So real.
I did it slow and steady, and I also was like, you know what? I have the money that I have. This is the budget that I have, and I'm going to look at it and go, what can I do without? Like, is there anything that's no longer serving me so that I can spend a little bit more on products that matter to me? And cosmetics was one of them. Skincare is one of them. And then is there anything that I can make? Like, what can I just make? Where can I save money? Because I don't think anyone needs to go broke being healthy, but yes, it's true that they're good stuff that's healthy for you costs more. It does. But I don't think you have to go broke doing it. So.
Right. No, I love that. So you started with your baby hair, and then your own personal care were like the top 3 things that you started with.
Yeah. That's a long answer.
It's helpful. It's helpful.
Yeah. I think, just to share my own experience, for me, I don't know what got me to, actually it was fertility a long time ago. Just listening to other women talk about some struggles that they had, and thinking about, the level of toxicity in their bodies. And I think at that point I was no longer relaxing, but I started with makeup products, and I can be a real product junkie myself. So that was really real for me, because my husband has been like, who's going to finish all these products that you're no longer using? Like, does this mean I got to use all this stuff? Because he will use it. He will for sure use it. And it was so funny when I started buying the non-toxic product. I now have to share. When I started buying the non-toxic products, and he didn't know how much they were costing, right? So he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this. Feels amazing. He was running through this stuff so fast. And then one day I was like, this is a really expensive face cream. I don't think you understand. And when I told him how much it was, he was like, why would you not tell me? I will never use this. Like, he was like, at first he was like, can we buy more of this? I used it all in 2 weeks. Now it's like, no, I'm never touching this again. I think products, I mean, we there's so much we can control, right? There's only so much we can control with environmental factors, but the things that we buy, so what you're putting on your hair, your skin, your body. Then I moved to cleaning products and laundry. That's your fourth? Yeah. And I think that tell me what you think about this, Keisha. I think that the technology and the knowledge is evolving, right? And I think the definitions are getting a little bit more standardized about what's clean versus organic. Tell us what you think about where like the manufacturing or the industry is going in terms of being a little bit more transparent about how we're defining that.
Sure. So I think, I will say that I still think it's on you, the consumer.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be clear about that because companies are there to make money. They're not there to make our lives healthier. They're not concerned about our toxic load. In fact, like the FDA, I don't want to disregard everything that they do that actually helps us and create standards. But, this industry is woefully unregulated. So I do think that it's important that we take it upon ourselves to go, you know what, I don't understand all of the science, but I know for me, I want to make it really, really, really simple. Mm-hmm. And I have to take my own health in my own hands. So I think it's important, that people know some basic things. And instead of knowing all the things you should avoid, or all the ingredients that you should avoid and all the ingredients you want to look for, forget all that. There's a few things, there's a small handful of things you need to know to just keep these as your trigger words, your buzzwords, as you're looking at ingredients. Stick to basic, stick to as simple as possible. And know that the industry does still greenwash. They do say things the word organic or natural is just not a regulated term. Right. So anyone can say that. But I do think that there's a lot of companies emerging, and there's a lot of emerging science too around cleaner products that are effective. It's a part of a larger conversation because I think we're very phobic of bacteria, and the antibacterial market is big business. Yeah. And so it does prey on our fear of oh my God, I don't want to get sick. I think it's the disinfectant antimicrobial industry is over 3 billion. And so they're making a lot of money off of this. Yeah. And so I think we can just simplify it by addressing a few things. And so I hope I answer your question, but I do think, when you're shopping for non-toxic cleaners or you're thinking about making them yourself, which is also a great thing, I think you have to know, to stay away from fragrance. Okay. Because fragrance sounds really, really benign. And I think this is the number one thing. If anyone learns anything today, fragrance sounds is it perfume, or it's just the good smelling stuff. If you look at the label of any product, towards the bottom of the list of ingredients, it will you'll see the word fragrance. Mm-hmm. And what that means is it's a protected formula of undisclosed chemicals. And they very often contain phthalates, which are known hormone disruptors. In the industry, there's a FDA, there's a law, a fragrance loophole law. And basically to keep your recipe proprietary, you can hide up to, I think it's 3,000 ingredients under the word fragrance. Yeah.
3,000? That is a lot.
it's a lot. So you might pick something up and go, oh, there's only 15 things or 5 ingredients, and see the word fragrance and think, oh, that's the good smelling stuff. And no, it's not.
I would totally do that. I would be like, okay, I see all these ingredients. Most of these I know. I'm not overwhelmed by the listing. Fragrance, not so worried about. That is absolutely hands down great advice. Yes. Keeping it basic, look out for fragrance.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is y'all, that's your hair products. That is your makeup. I mean, they are putting, fragrance is in everything. And so when a company is saying to you, we're totally transparent and they have fragrance, I'm like, no, show me the receipts.
Right.
You can tell me these 15 things and you can't tell me what's in this. Like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I suffer from eczema, and I think I learned that early on about 1, 2, 3. What's the first 3 ingredients, right? Because I have to be so careful on what I put on my skin. So that point right there, I didn't know that fragrance could be like a word for over 100 different ingredients. So that's definitely good to know.
Yeah.
Especially for people that have like sensitive whatever. And once you see that word, it's very much so like the essence of lavender, the essence of coconut, whatever they're using. And it sounds so organic and natural, but it could be anything.
That's right. It's very deceptive. I mean, I don't wear perfume. Like, we can do a deep dive in this. Like, I don't wear perfume because, and there are some great clean perfume companies, but I mean, that's a whole nother topic about toxins in perfume, and I'm just not interested. Like, so, and their companies are very clever where they will say fragrance and then essential oils. And so again, that's the same thing is, you're saying fragrance, essential oils, but what are you really saying? Are there additional ingredients? And I am someone who will pick up the phone and who will call companies, and very often I will get a CEO, not of like Johnson & Johnson, not SC Johnson or any of these big companies. But as I'm investigating companies that are saying they're clean, I'm the first person to get on the phone, talk to somebody who's an executive. I'm like, give me your white papers. I want to see your clinical research. I want to see third-party testing. I want to know about efficacy, and I want to know about ingredients. So, like, I no problem calling.
You gotta tell us what one of these calls sound like. That I have to know. Like, what is this?
We're gonna do a call now.
What's the tone? Like, what is being said? Are you getting any pushback? Like, you can't just
give us a script so we can do it too.
Well, I do start very polite. Well, it's funny because it's usually, I don't spend time with company. I'm not looking at Pine Sol. I already know what they're about. So I'm sort of interested in this emerging market of clean products. And my concern is when somebody comes out saying clean, natural, safe, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna check you on that, because the average consumer, I realize, isn't. And people are coming to me going, hey, I just saw this at the store. I'm so excited. It's affordable. It's at Target. Is this good? Seventh Generation is an example of that. Like, Seventh Generation makes some really great clean products, but not all of their products I would not trust. So, so anyway, so I would call said new company that's making, I don't know, detergent for laundry detergent.
Okay.
Or they may, reach out to me and say, hey, we'd love for you to test this, or we'd like to do a collaboration with you, so that you can share this with your audience. And so either way, whoever reaches out, I'll say, okay, that's great. And it's like a series of questions. One, I'd like to know how you define clean. That's a really hard question, I think, to answer, because everyone defines it differently. And then the second thing is, are you fully transparent? Is every single ingredient listed? Do you use the word fragrance? And then it's usually, do you have any white papers? Do you have any research? I'm working with a toothpaste company that I find to be really fascinating what they're doing. And I'm like, I want to read all of your research. I want to read your testing. Do you have this published? Can you share it with me? And then it's usually like a back and forth. They'll send me the info, I'll process it, and I'll come back with more questions. It's always, people are really great about it. When you first call up, you may get somebody who they're like, okay, this is above my pay grade. I'm here to help issue returns. So I'm going to connect you to the right person.
You have a return to make, ma'am? Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had any real pushback. But what happens when I ask those questions in, a very professional tone where it sounds like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, I usually get pushed up to somebody with a title.
Okay.
It's usually they'll escalate it quickly because, somebody's, sniffing around and like knows what she's talking about. So
yeah, we don't want those kind of problems.
I love that. I have another question. It sounds like you are like this researcher of products, of health, and some people want to be in this industry and not be in it, but they want to participate, meaning they want to add these like really clean, great products in their life, but they don't necessarily want to do the research. It sounds like you've kind of done some of the research. Yeah. Is there a place on your site that people can actually go to like say, whoa, Keisha said this is the best toothpaste, or she recommends this? Do you have that kind of list that people can
Yeah, so I do have that content on. So like on my website, the blog side, there's guides for, clean toothpaste, top 10 brands that I think are doing it great, or laundry detergent, or, here's some cleaners that I'm loving these brands. And I also try to do, and here's some DIYs. Here's some things that you can do yourself. But if you're, and here's the thing, like I am of the generation of moms who are, like Pinterest moms, and I'm not one of them. I'm like, ugh, I do not, there is a reason I pay a bakery to make those, those cupcakes. It is not going to be me. So I will DIY certain things, but at the end of the day, like it's time and money, and I don't have time. So I like to offer both because I do think that you can make great cleaners. And here's the big thing, like, I want to answer your question. So yes, you can go to my blog, you can go to my website. And if you want to work with me, or if you have any questions, if you just have questions, there's a spot to email me on my website. There's also a shop where I have discount codes to different, because that's the other thing is, I establish relationships with these brands, and I'm like, all right, I want to give my audience a discount. So there's, all of that on my website. But the one thing I wanted to say that I think is really important about cleaners and cleaning is we have been conditioned by marketing.
I was just giving my next question. Go ahead.
Okay, ask it.
Talk about it.
Go ahead, because I don't know if it's the same thing.
Okay. So I think when we go way, way back, we go to our great grandma. She was not, buying all of these things at the store. She was not buying broth at the store. She was making broth there. And so like what's old becomes new again. And there's like this homesteading movement that's kind of the slow cooking, slow food movement, which is great. And so I think it's important to recognize that like marketing is very clever. Like you associate lemon with clean or pine fresh with clean. But like, what does clean smell like? It smells like nothing. Clean doesn't smell like anything, but these companies aren't silly. Our olfactory senses, are very powerful. That smell connects to our brain and makes a very powerful, like primitive connection that makes us feel good. So like, we have to like be very clear that if I was to go into anybody's house, any of my neighbors, and open their cleaning pantry, I bet there's something for the floors, something for glass, something for the kitchen sink, something for the toilet, something different for the sinks. There's like 9 cleaners, and you don't need 9 cleaners. That's insane. So I think it's just important to know that like we could do a lot less than we have. And that the thought that we need all of these, like an air freshener isn't cleaning the air. In fact, it's making it more toxic. And if there's one thing I'd say, get rid of, it's your air fresheners. Like get them gone now because they are so great. Oh, Febreze, that is a lie. Lies they tell. Well, no. So yes.
Okay, that's it's kind of similar to what I was gonna say. We've kind of been conditioned to think that bigger brands like bleach and Clorox and are like define clean and disinfectant. And when you think of like using natural products, you're like, well, it's not going to be as clean because I know bleach does X, Y, and Z. Like that bridge. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So like helping people even get over that bridge of thinking like, if it don't have bleach in it, then it's not clean. Because that's not necessarily true, right?
That is absolutely not necessary. That is not true. And in fact, like, and I'm not saying that there's not a place for bleach or telling people not to use it, but like, also, I would never use bleach without, bleach can affect respiratory, and cause a lot of damage. So, if you're going to use bleach, I know it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't use it without protecting, my wearing some sort of mask, and my skin. I don't use bleach in my home. I found a product that works as effectively, that is non-toxic, that I like, that I'm happy to share. But the thing about bleach is, let's say you find some mold in your bathroom, and people think, well, I'm gonna spray the mold with my bathroom, but bleach is, it is effective on non-porous surfaces. And the grout in your bathroom is an extremely porous surface. So bleach has a whitening effect, which it'll make it appear as it's gone, but because it's so porous and bleach is so powerful, it actually creates more holes, making it more susceptible to mold.
Right.
So I mean, yes, it can be effective, but also on the right surfaces. And, I would not use it frequently because I just don't want that in my house, and I don't want to be breathing that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So you listen, as you don't have to necessarily use like the old ways. You can go back to the old ways of cleaning. Right?
Yes. How our great grandmas were cleaning very,
how they were doing it.
Like people have lived for a very long time without Pine Sol. So, I try to think about like, what was my great grandma doing, and how was she cleaning a home? And the other tip I wanted to share that I think is just the most important, that if there was one thing that you could do in terms of house cleaning, that was going to make the biggest difference, it is 100% hands down, super unsexy, and it's dusting. Like literally dusting. It is. And there's a ton of research about this right now. It's really interesting. A bunch of studies have come out about how the big impact of dust in your home and to your health, because it's not just like dust mites and dead skin that we're concerned about. Like they're on dust particles they find phthalates and parabens. And so we're breathing that in. So we think we're doing great with our products, but then we're breathing it in from our house. So vacuuming and dusting are literally the best things that we can do. Taking our shoes off at the door, because we're, think about all the things that we're stepping on, bringing that into our house, our like feces. And if you have small children and animals, with little kids, crawling on the floor, like hand to mouth, like they're ingesting these chemicals too. So again, it's not sexy. It's not a product you can buy, but thank God there's some simple things that we can do for free that will also help lower our toxic load.
For sure. For sure. Earlier in our conversation, Keisha, you mentioned how you recognize that certain products were particularly, forgive me if I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but particularly targeted toward Black women, or like products that Black women are using tend to have these higher levels of carcinogens and so forth. Tell us a little bit more about your perspective on that. And it's obvious to me, but why should we care? Why should we want to address this?
Yeah. I think it's, first of all, for me, it's injustice. It's all things are equal. We know that. And it's subversive. It's it's offensive to me to think as if I wouldn't care about my health. If these companies are putting whatever they want and selling it to us. And many of them are not even Black owned. And I'm like, no, you're not going to try me. You're not going to, the work that I'm doing in my home as a woman of color and raising Black children, you're not going to try to shorten our lives or try to get one over on me by putting crap in our products. That makes me furious. So talking about it is really important. It's the simplest and best thing that I can do is say, women, we've got to consider what we're putting on our body. We got to go back to what we know is is best for us and what our grandmas and our aunties were putting on us. And, you know, whether I don't care if it's coconut oil, like we don't need all of these products, and we have to start thinking about what we're bringing into our home. And in terms of, you know, consumerism, you know, I've read many statistics that say that Black women purchase 9 times more personal care products than white women. Yes. So we are buying more. We're buying the lion's share of products. And it's weird that we're not being marketed to, like the market is, if we're driving the market, why is it when I turn on my TV, it doesn't look that way?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, it's a part of a large conversation, but like our health matters. And when we look at diseases that impact our community, we have to ask ourselves why, like, and it's multifaceted, you know, from environmental, like environmental factors, food deserts, you know, quality access to there's so many things, but I like, before I get overwhelmed by all of it, I like to like break it down to what can I control? What is within my control?
Right.
Because even if I live perfectly, the perfect clean life, I still may get cancer. These things may happen to me. And so I'm not trying to, I don't know, I'm not doing this as a means to, you know, live eternally, but I want to live as best as I can from my first breath to my last.
Exactly.
That's the call to action. That's the call to action right there. I appreciate that. Well, tell us, Keisha, where can the people find you? Let them know.
So come find me on the gram. Okay. So, and I'm going to tell you like the real, like, I would love for you to come and learn on the blog. I work on, it's a pandemic and I've got 2 small kids and one that I'm trying to, you know, do school and hope he's learning something. We're all in crazy times.
Sure.
So if I had 2 kids at school, I would be cranking out, like I would be available all day long, but you know, I've really come to realize that, okay, we're in a pandemic. And so I need to respond like I'm in one, right? Like I cannot work myself. I am not willing to work myself to death. And that is what I want to help you do. I want to help my sisters do, is realize, what if the most important thing that we did was take care of our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our souls, and loved our people well. Like I am, and that's like my work is really pivoted, and I became a breathwork teacher and a breathwork coach because we are not breathing. The trauma that we have experienced last year is beyond, and so I am modeling, practicing what I preach by setting really great boundaries. But like I've got a ton of content on the blog for you to like, okay, I'm looking for all natural, you know, whatever cleaner. You can go to the blog, you can find it. If you don't find it there, you can shoot me an email and I got you. I've got tons of stuff and I probably got a discount for you.
We love a discount.
Yeah. So, but on Instagram is probably like the place that's the closest to me because it's a community that I've created. And I love this community, the Green and Well community, and how people support each other in it. So, and the thing that I want to share is that there are a ton of people. There are a lot of women who look like me that are in this space doing this work. But if you were to go and see on Instagram, who, you know, has the largest accounts and who has the biggest brand sponsorships, they aren't looking like me, but they're using our stuff, you know, they're talking about the things that we're talking about, or things that are, you know, whether from our culture or, you know, I talk about this all the time, Ayurvedic traditions, India, you know, things that come from India, whether it's breathwork or yoga. And it's very important to me that we are giving credit to the people who are the creators of the thing.
Absolutely.
And that we're elevated. We're elevating people of color in this space because we're out here doing this work. You know, we're out here trying to create health and freedom in our communities.
I love it.
Love that.
Health and freedom. I love that.
Thanks, Keisha.
Yes, absolutely.
Find our girl, hit her up.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun. I love I love this conversation and hearing your voices, and this is a gift for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are very thankful for you.
Absolutely.
All right, Keisha and Mecca, are you ready for Fire and Ice?
Yes. Fire and Ice, Ashley. Fire away.
This is a Women's History Month edition.
Ooh.
So some of these women are no longer with us, and some of these women are. So let's think about it like that. Okay. All right. So let's say Sister Souljah and Maya Angelou wrote a book. What is the book about?
Ooh. Ooh. And I just got the new Sister Souljah book. Sisters, what is the book about? Or what's the title?
Either one?
I mean, this is gonna take me time.
This is a tough one. Okay, you think about it. Sister Souljah, she does a lot of research in terms of telling her characters' life stories. That is her thing. I've heard her talk about that in a few interviews. Then Maya Angelou, she's got that poetic wisdom. If you put those together, what do you think they would come up with?
The title?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to come up with something clever.
It would have so Sister Souljah. She's known for The Coldest Winter Ever, right? And okay, let's see. This is a good question, actually. I'm usually really quick on my feet. I
can tell you what I think.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
I don't know what the title would be, but I think it would be like something about like the secrets that women keep or something like that. That's what I think, because if you think about it, I know why the cage bird sings. You got The Coldest Winter Ever. When that character was very she had to learn how to navigate, like, and be able to keep things to herself and speak in the right moments and not speak in the right moments. So I think it would be something around the secrets that women keep or something to that effect.
The secrets.
That's beautiful.
That's nice. The secrets.
That's what I would keep. Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say I have one. So
yeah.
What I appreciate, because I come from the world of education, and I know she was so frustrated by the American school system and what we were taught. And so I was thinking, like, you tried it, but you lost.
Ooh, but you lost. I like that a lot. I like that a lot,
that.
Actually. I like that.
You tried it, but you lost.
I'm with that vibe. All right. So let's say Madam C.J. Walker and Erykah Badu came together to make an essential oil blend company. Tell us. What would the company be about, or what would be their signature blend?
Their signature blend would be, girl, it'll be something like, girl, get your shit together.
Wait, what?
That would be the signature blend. And that blend can be used on your hair, your nails, your body. It won't be just one factor. It would be a multiple use product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think their signature gift, their signature oil will be called. There will be tons of other names, but I just feel like that's what everyone's going to be.
Yeah, that's the cornerstone of the line. I was thinking, instantly Afro Blue, the song. Body came in my head, and I was like, I think Afro Blue.
I can see that.
Beautiful. I like that.
I can see that. Maybe that's the company, and then the essential oil.
Okay. Look at us. Hit us up, girl. If you're listening to this, we'll work for you.
We're ready for it. We're ready. Okay, this is the last one. You got Diane Carroll, bless her soul, no longer with us, and Jada Pinkett Smith. So you got like old school glam, and then you got Jada Pinkett Smith, which we all know got that spunk, got that energy. They produce a movie. What is it about?
Well, we definitely know it has. We know that there is a dynamic between. I think a dynamic between man and woman. There's like a love thread that goes through this movie, and the woman is empowered. This is just like I'm thinking off the top of my head. The woman is empowered. She's kind of like a bit of an alpha female, but a very feminine alpha female.
Yeah. Which we don't get to see that often. I don't think.
But I feel like both of those characters kind of portray that.
Yeah.
So like an alpha feminine female with this dynamic of a almost, I keep saying Gidget or that girl. It's something around you know, one of my favorite shows was oh my God, why can't I get the name of it? She was a nurse. It was one of my favorite sitcoms. It's Julia.
Okay.
And so I kind of feel like this spunky, like matter of fact, funny alpha female, but she has this really fun feminine side to her. In this love relationship with this guy that is, you know, coming of age. He's trying to figure himself out.
Oh, is this a younger guy?
I'm like,
tell me more.
You can pick up Ashley.
What's the plot?
Wherever you want to.
So
but
funny.
you can pick up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. That's how I see it. You can definitely develop it a little bit more, but I see this like this female that's engaging with this guy, and he's just kind of coming into himself. He has a powerful demeanor, but he doesn't know it yet. He doesn't know how to use it. And you know, you have this woman that you guys are like, I'm making this up, you know.
No, I'm over here like Mecca and I need to write a book. Like I need to be your ghostwriter. Like that's what it is. You give me the plot, I'm gonna go write it. We can make this money. That's what I'm figuring.
Oh God.
That's what I'm thinking.
I feel like that's what I see. I mean, that can be developed a little bit more, of course, but you can imagine the scenarios and scenes that come between these two very different individuals, flashbacks on how they met. You know, the end story is whether or not they're going to be together and have this family. Maybe she's decided that she doesn't want to be with anyone. She doesn't want to be married. She doesn't want to.
That's it. Don't tell them no more, Becca. We're going to package this and sell it.
Yeah. I want to see that movie, and I want to see the movie where the woman already knows who she is.
Yes,
what she's about, and the man is like trying to develop and figure out himself, and she's like he can go work it out. Like it's always like the woman who's like finding herself. Well, maybe we already know ourselves.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So I saw, you know, those movies that are like New York, I Love You. They're all these little vignettes or like Valentine's Day or whatever. Yeah. I've seen it as different vignettes of different women, different stories.
Oh,
so
like that.
Kind of a collection of voices at different ages. Like I'd like to see trans women. I want to see all of these different stories and how somehow their lives intersect.
Yeah.
I want to see something like that with just Black women.
Yeah, somebody needs to hire us. We got ideas.
Right.
With it. Well, thanks for participating in this round of Fire and Ice.
Thanks, Ashley. Those were some fun questions.
Those are good.
Catch us next time on Incense and Whiskey.
In the meantime, take a breath, have a sip,